I've only had to do just minor truing up. Um, the tires, these Huffy Cranbrooks, they come with a 2.25-inch tire. Um, but with the engine and the way it mounts, it you really just get such little clearance that I go with a 1.95. That way I get to keep the tires with that nice kind of, wider look, while, also making sure I got a good amount of clearance. And that way, because you never know when maybe while you're riding, the rim might come out of true just enough, or even the engine mount shifts a little bit, and then next thing you know, it's rubbing on the tire. And I know because this has happened to me when I used to keep the originals on, where it rubbed up against it enough, then the tube popped through and then popped and exploded. It was a mess. It was a super mess because when that popped, rubber went into the chain, and then the chainstay flew into the spokes, and then I had to walk like 13 miles home. Super not fun, and it was at my first day at a new job, so it sucked. Um, yeah, so always go the extra mile. I'll say that for sure with these bikes. Always go the extra mile off rip, because it's gonna save you a lot of headache later on. And also, aside from that, maintenance, and maintenance, and then do a little bit more maintenance. You got to keep up on the maintenance with these things. If you don't, it's an accident waiting to happen, or just a failure of function. The sprocket I have put on there, as you can see, it's uh, it's installed with a hub adapter. Make sure to measure the hub of your back wheel to make sure you order the right one, because you might need shims or you might need a larger one. They're not all the same size. Aside from that, there's really no complaints. I mean, I can only have good things to say about this thing. It's made life with this bike a million times easier. When you're able to take that sprocket off and do maintenance on things, and not have to spend like almost an hour putting it back on and making sure it's straight and even and da 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 da, and always worrying about spokes tearing out. It's just superior. So I got this one from CDH Power, but tons of different companies make them. So go with what looks best to you. Always check reviews. That's the best advice I'll give you on that. Brakes, I have uh, uh, rim brakes. I from everything I've seen on pretty much every other bike builder's channel when I was learning about these myself. These are just usually what you want to go with. They're safer, and in my experience, they have truly been safer and more efficient for me. And the pads are, you know, pack of 12 for like $11. I mean, you know, it's kind of a no brainer. Clutch pads. If you open this up, you'll find that that's where your clutch is. You open that up, you'll find your little clutch pads. There's 15 of them. The stock ones that come with the kit, they're okay. They're, but, compared to some aftermarket ones you can get from Amazon for like $7.99 for a box of 30, it's kind of just best to go with the aftermarket ones because they're going to be of a slightly better quality, more reliable. You're not going to get slippage, which mine currently need to be replaced because you might be able to hear it while I'm riding, where there's kind of a little bit of a whirring sound in the background. That's usually because the clutch pads have kind of gotten caked up with carbon, and so there's through the revolutions there's a little bit of slippage going on, making that whirring sound. So on to the carburetor. This is a Bofang. Not sure how to pronounce that, but um, this kit was a few years behind in the model of the newer kits. Therefore, this one, the intake tube here was a slightly different outer diameter than the inner diameter of the new carburetor. Given that I couldn't find a place to find something to replace it appropriately to fit it, I just basically used a little bit of JB Weld, the putty, not the liquid epoxy, not the quick weld, because the putty, when I go to take this off, it really is just all it's gonna take is just a solid turn. It'll crack off, and then I can flake it off. So it's not a permanent thing, but it sealed that up just fine. And yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak for a performance difference in the two from the original NT carburetor, but I don't know. Yeah, no complaints. I'll say that. So for the intake for the air, we have I have a velocity stack on there. Something to keep in mind is that when you use a velocity stack, you basically are going to lose your ability to use your choke. Now, it's come to my knowledge recently that they're now making a new CNC version of this that has a plate that goes on the inside that seals off that empty space in there and also allows you to still be able to use your choke. Depending on where you live, because I live in somewhere that's so hot, it's honestly never been an issue for me because there's never really a time that I cold start my engine. My engine's always pretty much warm. It's always sitting at a steady like 100 degrees plus. Because I keep it outside. So uh, one thing to keep in mind is that your gas mixture, because you have